All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Roundabout Sports presented by Interstate 70 Sports Media, where our passion is our profession. Thank you so much. It is Wednesday, December 18th. We are just a month, or I'm sorry, we're just a week away from Christmas. Thankfully, it's not just a month. I'm the Maestro, Jeremy Carp. It is pretty cool day outside. Not too bad. Nice 34 degree. Okay, it's pretty damn cold. Nevertheless, we got plenty to talk about this week. Um so first up, I want to bring up some breaking news that has been coming in as of late. Um St. Louis Cardinals star third baseman Nolan Arenado recently, and I mean like within the past couple hours, invoked his no trade clause to block a deal that would send him to the Houston Astros. Now, the teams were still negotiating a potential trade involving Arenado, despite the original block. But this comes just days after they sent outfielder Kyle Tucker to the Chicago Cubs. Um, and meanwhile, Alex Bregman, the Astros' longtime third baseman, could also be leaving in free agency. So, yeah, there's a lot going on if you are the Houston Astros. But for the Cardinals, um, eight-time All-Star Arenado, he's 33 years old. He's one of the game's best third basemen, and to me, he's a future Hall of Famer. This year he hit 272 with 16 homers and 71 RBIs. Um, and he's won 10 Gold Glove awards in his career. Excuse me. But this is the thing. The Cardinals apparently were willing to send 15 to 20 million to the Astros as part of the deal to help pay downwards of Arenado's salary. Over the next 3 years, Arenado's set to make $74 million. Sources were saying, like I said, that this is not close at all. Arenado using his no trade clause to eliminate basically a potential deal to the Houston Astros. We will have more on this developing story throughout the show. The thing of it is, Jared Shannon from I-70 Sports Media was saying that if they don't trade him by Christmas, he doesn't see him being gone at all. It's a very interesting take, to say the least, because I mean, time is of the essence if you're the Cardinals when it comes to this rebuild that they're talking about. And John Mozeliak, president of baseball operations, made it clear last week they are intending on trying to trade Nolan Arenado. And they went all in to acquire him a few years ago in a trade. Yeah, and by all in I mean they put all their focus on acquiring Arenado. And it's interesting because the intention of all this is to slash payroll and shift the 2025 focus to the young core that the team has. Guys like Nolan Gorman, Brendan Donovan, Mason Wynn, Jordan Walker, you know, the slew of young guys that they have. And one of the things that they've already shifted around is going to be the fact that with Paul Goldschmidt gone, their new first baseman is basically going to be Wilson Contreras. 32 years old, but they're moving him from catcher to first base. Figures it's a good way to help out with his long-term health in his career. So, like I said, if you're just tuning in, Nolan Arenado, there was a big-time trade in place to try to send him to the Houston Astros, but Arenado declined it by invoking his current no trade clause. So we'll keep that in mind. Stay tuned with that for more news. It is definitely a very interesting one. I also wanted to talk about something that Newsweek. It's a dream scenario, of course. Now, one of the teams Arenado is willing to reportedly waive his no trade clause for is the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, God forbid if he does go to the defending World Series champions, but Arenado, there is a scenario that Newsweek put out that says the Cardinals would trade Arenado and $25 million for right-handed pitcher Bobby Miller. Miller debuted in 2023, made 22 starts. His first year was great. Last year was not so much. It posted a 1.77 WHIP and an 8.52 ERA. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, even if they're trying to cut the salaries, they're not going to just send out Arenado like that. So, yes. With the full no trade clause in his contract, Arenado does have the final say over where he goes or if he goes at all. Yes, there is the chance that Arenado does stick with the Cardinals. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's just going to be. This isn't a thing where, hey, if you don't get traded, you're getting released. Arenado's either going to stick with the Cardinals or they will trade him and he has to waive the clause for that. It's interesting to me because yes, they are trying to build the young team around the young core guys that they have brought in over the past few years. But this is a great chance for the Cardinals to honestly, he would be that veteran leader that they are really looking for, or that they have. I mean, you still got Contreras, Goldschmidt's gone, and it's interesting because the Yankees are now closing in on trying to sign Paul Goldschmidt. Of course, the deal is not official yet, but it is something they are definitely trying to work on doing. Now, sources are also saying that the Cardinals are not thrilled dealing with Arenado and his agent, who they normally have a decent relationship with. It's interesting. There are teams that Arenado made it clear that he would go to. Like, he would be waiving his no trade clause for. And those range from the Padres to the Phillies to the Dodgers. I believe the Yankees might have been one of them. I would have to double down on that, so bear with me. But I do know the Padres and Phillies are two, and the Dodgers are ones that are confirmed to be teams that he would be extremely interested in and willing to waive that clause for. Which, I mean, damn. So those are a couple of interesting ones. Here it is. So we have the Dodgers, Padres, Angels, Phillies, Mets, and Red Sox. Yeah, Yankees are not one of them, but the other New York team. Which brings me to something we were not on last week. We were not on the air last week, and it's something I need to talk about, and God knows I can't believe this. Juan Soto. If we're going to talk about the Mets, we can already cross him off the list. There's no way the Mets are going to get anybody else when they literally just signed the largest sports contract in history. Juan Soto signed a 15-year, $765 million contract, which equates to $51 million a year. And, you know, He was close to re-signing with the Yankees too. That's the funny thing, but he bet on himself and it paid off. He turned down a $400 million offer from the Nationals a few years ago, and now look at him. He's up to literally over $500 million over the next 15 years. Damn. It's crazy to think about because, look, he's 26 years old. He's in the prime of his career right now. Juan Soto is a World Series champion. He's hit over 200 home runs in his career. He's a career 285 hitter, a four-time All-Star. I mean, look, he's also won the Silver Slugger 5 times. No, so Juan Soto, the Mets, they're not getting Arenado. I could see some of the others, such as the Phillies, or the Padres. I think the Padres would be a big fit for Nolan, but I don't see the Angels either. God rest the soul if he ends up going to Anaheim. So that being said, what was I gonna say? Oh, my deepest apologies on all of that. Okay, so yes, like I said, Nolan Arenado declines his trade to the Astros. Juan Soto signs a $765 million deal with the Mets. Now, this is the thing. I want to talk about some of the perks, okay, of this contract. So, according to New Jersey Advanced Media, so Juan Soto was given a $75 million signing bonus, and no money was deferred. Excuse me. Stephen Cohen, the owner of the president, Stephen Cohen, the owner of the Mets, and David Stearns, the president of baseball operations of the Mets, added a whole bunch of perks, which include 22 Delta Club premium seats, security people for him and his entire family during home and away games, and this is interesting. I'm not making this up. It's not confirmed, but it is something I'm not making up as far as the rumors go. Family services in the contract, which include charter flights for his family to road games and a clothes allowance for his mom. Yeah, okay. So you're telling me basically his mom will have a set allowance on getting to buy whatever clothes she wants. The family gets charter flights for road games. There's 22 premium seats. And you wonder why randomly 22. It's because that's his number on his jersey. And the annual value, the Mets can add $4 million per season to Soto's deal if he opts out after year 5. So, like I said, this is what the Yankees and owner Hal Steinbrenner got to. They got to 16 years and $760 million. They would not include perks such as Delta Club seats or premium seating like that. But the years were longer, but the money was less by $5 million because $760 million just isn't enough. And I like what general manager of the Yankees, Brian Cashman, said. He said, quote, "Some high-end players that make a lot of money for us, if they want suites, they buy them." I mean, it's fair enough. I don't really object to that. But yes. I do like what Juan Soto said last week to reporters during his introductory conference. He would try to invest some money into the Dominican Republic, his home country, to try to help everybody around and try to create more chances and more opportunities for people moving forward. So it's nice knowing that it's not just, oh, here, I'm going to take nearly $1 billion and just, splurge and get rid of it all, but whereas he's actually going to be using it for good causes, charitable reasonings. So we do have that to at least look forward to. Moving on now here on Roundabout Sports episode 114. There has been a lot going on in college football with bowl season among us and everything. And there's something I have to talk about. I talked about this with my friend a couple days ago, and I'm not making this up. Now, we all know the transfer portal. Transfer portal is simple. Players entering the transfer to another university. Well, imagine losing basically your entire football team to the point where you cannot play in the bowl game that you were scheduled to play in. That's what happened to Marshall University, the Thundering Herd. So I'm not even making this up. They were scheduled to play in the Independence Bowl against Army, which, exciting game. Well, what ends up happening is 30 players transferred once. Excuse me. Yes. Marshall University is withdrawing from the bowl game because coaching changes and the fact that 30 players transferred out. Keep in mind, the transfer portal happens like players that either say they're going into the NFL draft, they usually don't play in bowl games. Players that are transferring don't play in the bowl games. So basically, the entire Thundering Herd's main team says, yeah, we're not playing. There might be NCAA sanctions against Marshall. I personally think, if anything, consider it a forfeit and give the win to Army. Because if anybody followed college football, especially Army, this year, hell of a team, amazing season. I felt they would have really blown Marshall out of the water in that game, but it is what it is. So, and actually, apparently Louisiana. Oh wow, we actually do have some interesting news here. So apparently, bear with me one second. Apparently, and I want to make sure. Yep, this is confirmed. The Independence Bowl will go on. The Louisiana Tech Bulldogs have been announced as taking Marshall's place. So originally the bowl was going to be canceled because they were scrambling to find a team. Well, it turns out Louisiana Tech at 5-7 from Conference USA is going to take on number 22 overall in the nation, Army. We'll take what we can get, I guess. Like I said, Army's probably going to blow them out of the water. So, hey, it's better than not playing at all. That's how I look at it. So let's see. So yeah, we got that. All right, folks. We now pick would be Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills, and I'm hoping that he ends up winning it. But right now, we're going to go to the Vegas Insider, and we're going to see what exactly the odds are. So right now, Josh Allen is the leading odds in Vegas for being MVP, followed by Lamar Jackson of the Ravens. Running back Saquon Barkley at third for the Philadelphia Eagles. And then here's an interesting one. Jared Goff is in fourth, the quarterback of the Detroit Lions. Now, I want to say Patrick Mahomes is still in the top 10, but I know he's not winning. Now, I want to make something clear about Josh Allen for a second. Josh Allen, the Bills are the only team to beat the Chiefs and the Lions this season. They're 2-0 when facing the Bills or the Lions and the Chiefs. The rest of the NFL is 1-25 when facing either the Chiefs or the Lions. So, yeah, needless to say, Buffalo is an offensive juggernaut, an odds-on favorite. I will say the defense definitely needs to step it up if they're wanting to make a serious Super Bowl run, because allowing over 35 points the past 2 weeks is definitely not going to cut it there one bit. With all of that said, folks, I do think Josh Allen is having himself a career year here. I want to kind of delve into his stats this season. He's got a 64% completion percentage. He's got 3,395 yards. He's got 25 passing touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. And it's his rushing attributes this season that has also been really I don't even know the word. Excitable? I don't know. It's exhilarating. Call it what you want, but it's amazing. Josh Allen this year has rushed for 484 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns. And interestingly enough, I'm trying to see. He's only fumbled. Only fumbled 5 times. So, hell, I'll take it. If I'm Josh Allen, I will take that. Eddie's tuning in, folks. Yeah, be sure to send in your live comments. When we air the shows on Wednesdays, we are live on Roundabout Sports Facebook, on Interstate 70 Sports Media's Facebook, on the Interstate 70 Sports Media YouTube channel, on my personal Facebook, on my Twitch account, which is JCarp32 Squad, and then on my personal X account, which is JCarp Sports Fan 1. So that's whenever we air live on Wednesdays. Eddie, thank you so much for tuning in. So far, we've talked about the latest happenings, and this is for anybody who's just tuning in. The latest happenings with Nolan Arenado declining a trade to Houston, the Cardinals getting frustrated with this whole situation, kind of my MVP hopeful in the NFL, and Marshall's Thundering Herd not making their bowl game because their entire team decided to basically wuss out on them. So yeah. And this is interesting. I do also want to report here. Arenado informed the Cardinals that he would not waive his he would not waive his no trade clause to go to Houston, but they tried to trade him anyway. They have not revealed, Eddie, who was involved in the trade from Houston. We're still waiting to hear more about that. Also, yes, I do want to talk about the trade the Blues made in the span of the last time we were on the air. So, That is the Blues trading for Cam Fowler. In return, they received a defenseman. The Anaheim Ducks received a defensiveman prospect and a second-round pick in the 2027 NHL draft. Now, this is he was selected. Cam Fowler was selected with the number 12 pick in the 2010 NHL draft by Anaheim. He's first in Ducks history among defensemen in goals with 96, assists with 361, points with 457, and game-winning goals 18. And you know, there was a lot of disappointment by Ducks fans regarding the trade, but Fowler still is just 33 years old. And Fowler has made a big impact with the Blues since joining the team. I personally must say. I know he has played on average of about 17 minutes on the ice. In the past 5 games with the Blues. So far with the Blues, in the past 3 games. So far with the Blues in 3 games, he has been just a force to be reckoned with on the ice. Only had 2 penalty minutes, so I'll take him for that. But a 15-year career with the Ducks. He was traded just on the 14th, and Ducks general manager Pat Verbeek said this was, quote, a difficult decision considering what Cam meant to the organization. But I mean, I'm excited. He's an all-star, and the Blues got a great price for him as well. So I'm definitely excited to see how things play out. Hopefully the Blues get back in their winning ways, but we will take what we can get. Excuse me. So, meanwhile, we do have another trade. It does not involve. Oh well, yeah. Here we go. We do have a trade that just happened. If I give me 1 second. Yep. Pierre-Olivier Joseph, known as P.O. Joseph, just got traded from the Blues to the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is just breaking from me from Christopher Miles, who sent this, and Doug Armstrong announced it. He's dressed in 170 NHL games in his career, totaling 39 points and 89 penalty minutes. The exchange is future considerations, Eddie, as far as for the Blues. So, yes, I always love it when we get breaking news live on the show. So, yes, the St. Louis Blues trade P.O. Joseph to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sources tell us, and confirmed by the general manager himself, Doug Armstrong. So, we're going to keep on that as far as who exactly we would get, but Joseph was originally signed by the Blues as a free agent on July 3rd, 2024. He appeared in 23 games with 2 assists and 23 penalty minutes. So, I mean, I think it's a pretty decent enough trade, if you ask me. So, good for Joseph. I wish him the best of luck in Pittsburgh, and hopefully it plays out well for the Blues. For those wondering how the Blues are doing this season, so basically they got 33 points, 15 and 3. It's the goal differential that's killer. -17. So they really need to pick it up on offense. They just lost yesterday 4-1 to the Devils. So, yeah, they got to figure that one out. They really do. With all of that said, we have reached the half-hour mark here on Roundabout Sports. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm the Maestro, Jeremy Karp, and this episode 114 of Roundabout Sports. You can also stream us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, Pocket Casts, and anywhere else that you might happen to stream your podcasts. Please be sure to follow us on Facebook, on X, on our YouTube channel, Interstate 70 Sports Media. You'll find all of our episodes as well. And folks, I want to talk about a couple other podcasts quickly. That being the Other Guys Sports Podcast. Yes, that is the name of the Other Guys Sports Podcast with Nick Rourke and TK. So it airs every Sunday and talks about the latest happenings in college football and in the NFL. Usually are the main topics, but they've also delved into other sports as well when football is not in session. So it's definitely worth checking out. Be sure to go to Spotify or iTunes to check them out. They have a Facebook page as well in conjunction with Interstate 70 Sports Media. And speaking of, and man, well, talk about somebody that jumps the gun. I was just going to talk about my friend Poolside Pat, who is tuning in live tonight. Okay, so I want to tell you all a little bit something about Poolside Pat. Okay. So here we go. Bear with me, folks. This is I'm very grateful to have been on his show in the past alongside Big Red. So give me 1 second, folks. I wish I could find the date that I was on, but it was just about a month or two ago. But the show is called the Redbird Report Podcast, and it started this season until the winter warm-up started hitting. It was back in September when they had me on the show at the beginning of October. But nevertheless, yes, it's the Redbird Report Podcast. They're on X. It's hosted by Poolside Pat and Primetime Productions Big Red. God bless them both. They are fantastic. And it was so much fun being able to be on that show and talking all kinds of things Cardinal baseball with them. I highly recommend checking them out on any platform that you can stream podcasts. And like I said, be sure to find them on X at Redbird_report5. Had to make sure I read that right. So that's Redbird_report5 for a podcast of all things Cardinals related. So, and Pat, thank you so much for tuning in as always. It's my pleasure. And I look forward to getting the chance to be on the show again. Now, you know what? I want to bring up something here. A friend of mine from Redbird Rants brought up. And it's from Thomas Galvane. He put on X, he says, you got to feel a little bit for John Mozeliak here with the Nolan Arenado trade. Okay. So I want everyone's thoughts on this. We got a lot of people who are tuning in, so thank you for doing so if you're tuning in live. But he says, quote, you have to feel for him because he has to balance the no trade clause of Arenado, the wish list of Arenado, the ownership's cost-cutting measures, the interested teams in Arenado, because just because there's a team on his wish list, that doesn't mean they are interested in him in return. The future of the team, and to me, the biggest piece of all of this is the fact that John Mozeliak went out there and traded for Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado. Did nothing with them. The Cardinals didn't get any farther with them than they did without them. And nevertheless, John Mozeliak's legacy is already complicated enough. And this is something you'll find on Interstate 70 Sports Media's website soon. His legacy is already going to be complicated enough. Because he has, the World Series win, things like that, but imagine trading for Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt, doing nothing with them, having Goldschmidt leave in free agency, and then have to basically trade away Nolan Arenado and admitting your failures to make progress with them. That's kind of where we're at right now, if you're John Mozeliak. And this is his last year. There is a good chance Arenado lasts longer in the Cardinals organization than John Mozeliak does. And when I think about that, it tells me that, it brings up, there's two different types of wasted potential. There's the potential when there's a top prospect that doesn't pan out. And you want my honor, I guess you can make the argument about a guy like J.D. Drew. Highly touted prospect, a lot of side issues, turned out to be a disappointment in the majors, especially with the Cardinals. Then you got guys like, when we talk about wasted potential, like Nolan Arenado. Wasted potential not because of him. Nolan Arenado's had a great 4 years in St. Louis. Paul Goldschmidt had a great 4 years in St. Louis. He won the NL MVP just 2 years ago. But let me make it clear to you what the Cardinals' seasons have been since Arenado and Goldschmidt were on the team. So we got 2021. They lost in the wild card game against the Dodgers. They finished second. They went 90-72. Okay, great. But they lost in the wild card. Doesn't matter. The very next year in 2022, first place, 93-69 regular season. Okay, great. You win the division. Get swept in the wild card series, 2-0. Keep in mind, Goldie won the MVP that year, and that was also the last year of Pujols and Molina's career. Okay. Now let's flash forward to 2023, which a lot of people say is the first true year for Ollie as manager, because it started to be more of his team, if you will. Well, we already know how bad that went. They finished 21 games out of first. They went 71-91, their worst record in nearly 30 years. And then last year, they went 83-79. Well, sure, if we're in 2006, that would be fine, because that's the record they had when they won the World Series. But in 2024, they finished 10 games out of first place. And on top of that, this is the kicker for me. I want to talk about, when it comes to the Cardinals that season, their start. March and April, they went 14-16. May, they went 13-12. You're already off to a terrible start. If you're already below, if you've already lost 28 games, heading into the summer, it just was not going well. Yes, they improved upon their other record from the year before, but it still didn't turn out well. So John Mozeliak, and this is where he's at. He can either keep Arenado and just kind of say, look, he'll still stay the third baseman. Have an infield that has Mason Wynn because you traded away Tommy Edman. You'll have Contreras at first. Maybe you'll have Nolan Gorman at second. Donovan will shift in there. There's a lot of options of what the Cardinals will do. So, yes, there is a lot more to this Arenado situation than it may appear to the naked eye. So, I wanted to throw that. I wanted to not necessarily call out Thomas's post, but I did want to bring it to light because it is a very good, valid point, I feel, that he makes because, yeah, John Mozeliak deserves a lot of flack, but I do feel that there are things that are even out of his control, and this is definitely one of them. So, and yeah, we don't know what we're gonna do. Also, then it brings up the question of who ends up going to fill up his spot if he gets traded. So that's for another day. Also, I wanted to throw out something interesting. This is where ADHD gets me every time. We're going from talking about the Cardinals. I got to throw another NFL thing out there. This is just a little tidbit. So, Kirk Cousins just got benched from the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins is a pocket passer. Tom Brady retired. Peyton Manning retired. Eli Manning retired. Drew Brees retired. Phillip Rivers retired. Big Ben retired. Matty Ice retired. Brett Favre retired. Thank God. Carson Palmer retired. Kurt Warner retired. Tony Romo retired. We're in 2024. I'm telling you right now, folks, by 2040, I don't think we're going to have any more pocket passers. Hell, by 2030, we might not. Because this is who we have right now as far as the pocket, the more known pocket passers. So you got guys like it's interesting. A lot of the guys these days are kind of in between. It's hard to even think about primarily pocket passers right now because Joe Burrow in between, Pat Mahomes in between, CJ Stroud, scrambler, Lamar, scrambler, Brock Purdy in between, Jordan Love in between. Tua should be a pocket passer, but he puts himself at risk a lot. Bo Nix, a little bit of both. Justin Herbert, a little bit of both. It's interesting, the evolution of the NFL quarterback. It used to be in a league full of a lot of pocket passers, when one came out and was a scrambler, your Randall Cunninghams, your Warren Moons, your Michael Vicks, everyone was like, holy crap, this guy can actually move. Josh Allen's basically a scrambling quarterback. I discussed him earlier in the show. He's got 11 rushing touchdowns this year. He had 2 consecutive games with 3 rushing, or he had 2 consecutive games with 2 rushing touchdowns. One of them, he had 3 rushing touchdowns. So the era of the pocket passer in the NFL is coming to a close. I find it very interesting. And it's crazy just naming all those quarterbacks and saying, damn, I was there to watch all of them play. Some of them their entire careers. In fact, on that whole list, the only quarterback that I did not see play their entire career, if you want to get technical, was Brett Favre. I mean, yeah, basically, there's kind of some technicalities to that whole rule, but ugh, I just find it amazing. So that's something I had to bring up. Now, in all of this, we've talked about a lot of stuff tonight. There's one more thing I have to talk about before we wrap it up here on Roundabout Sports. That is, excuse me, the news regarding this upcoming Saturday for the Texans and the Chiefs. Texans are 9-5. They're heading to Arrowhead at 13-1, facing the Chiefs. So, biggest thing, this Chiefs, this Chiefs team is battered and bruised on offense. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs beat the Browns a few days ago. But in the process, Patrick Mahomes suffered a mild to high ankle sprain. He's been a full participant in practice. Andy Reid has said that he would make a strong effort to play. And if he doesn't, in comes Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, the once heralded quarterback turned backup, turned injury, or known for being injury prone. We'll see how it all pans out. Basically, let's put it this way. This is definitely up to Carson Wentz if excuse me. It's up to Carson Wentz if Pat Mahomes can't play. Chad Henne's not going to come back out of retirement and save the Chiefs now. So it would be up to Carson Wentz. I think the Chiefs defense has done a lot to complement the fact that the offense has not been what they usually are. Look, questionable calls, ref bias, say what you want. Yes, there is definitely a hell of a lot of questionable calls in favor of the Chiefs. But I'm not going to lie, this defense has been playing a damn good season. It's been having a damn good season. And they're more of a reason the Chiefs are 13-1 than the offense is. The Chiefs do not blow out teams. They have the strategy to maintain possession of the ball, keep the opposing team's offense off the field, and then let the defense get a fresh break. And then when they get on the field, they'll be set. And it's worked. It's worked so far. They won last week against Cleveland. They got Houston next, and then they got Pittsburgh. They got 3 games in 11 days. It's the gauntlet. All I can say is let's see what Kansas City can do, because their quest for the three-peat still exists. With all that said, folks, we're going to wrap it up this week on Roundabout Sports. I want to wish everyone a fantastic rest of their week. Once again, be sure to find Roundabout Sports on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Pocket Casts, and more. I know we got a lot of people that are still tuning in live, and just knowing that means a lot to me. So be sure to follow us on the Interstate 70 Sports Media Facebook page, the Roundabout Sports Facebook page, the Interstate 70 Sports Media X account, my personal X account at JCarp Sports Fan 1. Follow me on Twitch at jcarp32squad. So, and also for some of the latest invest writing out there, go to interstate70sports.media. We got a great team of writers in place, and content creators. You wouldn't regret it tuning in and subscribing, folks. So subscribe to the email list to get the latest articles sent directly to you. And with all that said, folks, as we close, we always put up the NAMI helpline, and that's 1-800-950-NAMI, 1-800-950-NAMI. The National Alliance on Mental Illness is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization dedicated to building better lives for those who struggle. And also, we put up the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. For that, you dial 988. The line is open 24/7, 365. 366 on leap years. That number is 988. Understand you're never alone in this world. There is always somebody out there who loves you, who cares about you, who wants nothing but the best for you. And we are all going through a lot of struggles. Especially, I mean, there's a lot of things that go on, especially during the holiday season. You know, even what's supposed to be the most jolly of times can bring out a lot of sad moments and memories and times. But we got to push through. And most importantly, you don't have to push through alone. The struggles you face don't have to be faced alone. You're just a phone call, a text message away. And you could be the listening ears, the watchful eyes, the helping hands for somebody in need, because it might just save their life. So I want to thank you all once again for tuning in. And as always, I'm the Maestro Jeremy Karp, and remember that life is like a book full of empty pages just waiting to be written in. Make your lives worth reading. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next.